Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, reach out to me, T Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we are discussing a 2021 launch, 12 pieces in stainless steel. This is the Laurent Ferrier Classic Micro-Rotor for the Rake and Revolution magazines, the brainchild of Laurent Ferrier and Waco. This timepiece is classically gorgeous with a few special touches for collectors who are a bit rakish in their tastes. So the watch is 40 millimeters in diameter. It is 11.1 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 47.5 millimeters, and the spacing between the lugs is a nice universal 20 millimeters. Now the timepiece wears easily on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. I should mention that the watch comes with an accessory full steel Milanese bracelet, so you have both this strap with its buckle and the Milanese bracelet as part of the set for Revo and the Rake. The watch is nice and flat with a domed bezel and a domed crystal, so it'll slide easily under a dress cuff, and being relatively short across the wrist, I can also recommend it for wrists as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. It's absolutely a unisex option. Taking a quick look at the strap, it's well chosen. Almost an aviator style combination of anthracite calf skin with a contrasting stitch. You can see it has broad folded edges on the underside, a wonderful Alcantara-like suede material. And you can see this is a brand new Laurent Ferrier strap. We have a matching Laurent Ferrier pin buckle. And you can see that the pin buckle design is as fluid as the rest of the watch. Of course, this case shape, formerly known as Galet, now going by Origine and Classic nomenclature. The watch you see is classically inspired, and it still has that look of a pebble smoothed over eons in a stream. It's all of high polish. There's a little bit of a teardrop undertuck to the lugs and a bit of countersink to the vintage onion style crown, so it doesn't stick out as much as it otherwise would. The bezel is spare and domed and well integrated into the curvature of the crystal as well as the curvature of the case flank. And on the dial side, things really start rocking. This is where some of the Rake and Revo exclusive content comes in. So what you have here is a set of electro-spark eroded white gold brigade style Arabic numerals. So that's how they're formed, and then they are darkened using an extreme application of ruthenium, which in its conventional watchmaking applications is more of a dark gray. This is more like black. Now you can see there are quite a few lacquered transferred features onto the dial, as we have a sector style dial with a railroad track outboard for reading the minutes. We have those same ruthenium coatings across the polished hands, which are assegai or spear inspired. We have a sub-seconds with a concentric pattern. It's also sunken into the dial to create another focal plane and some depth. Note the attention to detail with the lovely font within the sub-register being the same as that used for the hours, and then the polished cannon pinion on which the hands are mounted. You can see the minute hand, which is carried by the cannon pinion, has a mirrored surfacing at its center. No detail too small. All of this, of course, inspired by some of the great dress watches of the 20th century, including the Patek Philippe timepieces on which Laurent Ferrier worked for 37 years when he was at Patek Philippe. Turn it all over, and it's arguably more interesting on the case back. The dial is good, but the movement is great. Now, conventionally, Laurent Ferrier calibers use a combination of brass with iridium plating and then Côte de Genève. Here what we have is brass, but yellow gold gilded with a sandblasted, almost pocket watch inspired aesthetic. This is a very vintage look, as would have been used on pocket watches and much, much older wristwatches. But it's the basic FBN 22901, of course, Ferrier plus Barbacini and Nivas, the three fathers of this movement, which was designed between Christian Ferrier, Laurent's son, and then La Fabrique du Temps, which is a LVMH company that works on ultra haute de gamme out of Geneva, and so that's where this comes from. We have a micro-rotor of exceptional efficiency, and apparently 200 windings of the micro-rotor will turn the barrel once, or will turn the ratchet wheel atop the barrel once. We have a pawl-based system so that its operation, along with the jeweled staff, is almost entirely silent. Now you can see everything that's silver on this case back is steel. Everything that's gold gilded is brass. And you can appreciate that the bridge for the winding rotor is entirely black polished across its top. There are some exquisite details like the sharp outward points where two bevels meet. Or if you take a look at the half bridge for the balance, black polish across its top as well, finished using diamond paste, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 sharp interior angles where those interior bevels meet. A lot of companies, including those that would obtain Geneva Hallmark certification, would not bother to create these sharp interior angles on such a confining, small interior finish. Confining interiors where you have skeletonized parts are probably the toughest to mirror bevel and also to inward angle. So this is very accomplished. You could see on a larger bridge that there's another inward angle over the center wheel, and you could see that the mechanism for transferring the power of the crown to the ratchet wheel, it has itself been black polished, and it has a lovely swan's neck inspired spring attached. You can also appreciate that the mechanism features mirrored jewel and screw countersinks. Every single screw head has been black polished, and its slot chamfered and its outer circumference chamfered. If you look closely, you can see that the wheels were even finished internally, and that is very difficult. Like the confining interior recesses of the half bridge, it's very difficult to finish inside a wheel. You can see both the bridges and the base plate have been mirror finished, but then the underpinning of the micro-rotor mechanism, it has been satinated. You can also see engine turning on the bracket adjacent to the double direct impulse nickel phosphorus escape wheels. So we actually have some advanced materials here. Nickel phosphorus is built up using LIGA, which is a galvanic lithography. And so these are anti-magnetic, unlubricated, direct impulse wheels. So there is no Swiss lever. This is like the Breguet natural escapement. It helps to improve power reserve, improve chronometric precision, and reduce the service requirements by eliminating lubrication and eliminating the lever as the middleman between the escape wheel and the balance. So these two wheels directly impulse the balance, and uniquely, this movement is generally self-starting, which is difficult to achieve on this type of caliber. Now, the double direct impulse helps to improve power reserve, which is why this automatic winder, despite a single barrel, has a 72-hour power reserve. There is a silicon blocker, so while one wheel is impulsing, the other one is locked in place, and they alternate. Each wheel only impulses the balance in its direction of travel, so that there's no reversing inertia like you find with a Swiss lever. Now we have an overcoil hairspring shaped by hand that helps the watch to keep excellent time in any physical position on the wrist, and to better keep good time in every position, the watch is adjusted to a full 6 positions, not the chronometer standard of 5. It pivots on 35 joules. All of this is 30 meters, water resistant, and it has an oscillation rate of 21,600 vibrations per hour, which works well with the natural escapement, but also helps to improve the power reserve. A good looking watch all around, with some of the broadest and most beautiful anglage you will encounter. Finishing is done in-house at Laurent Ferrier, though the company admits that its watches are collaborative efforts with its supplier. Finishing and adjustment always done in-house. And some of these bevels are as broad and beautiful as what you'll find on the likes of Voudelainen, Lang und Heine, or Romain Gauthier. Yes, they are that good, and they merit those comparisons. It may sound like I really like this 12-piece limited edition, and I have to say I would be lying. I don't like it. I love it, and I hope you do too. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.